For the significant challenge or setback that I faced in my career and I can overcome it, I would like to share with you about uh, that's the beginnings, the beginning of this year that we realized um, that EU regulations has announced that they accept the ticket powders outside EU, but the producer must have the license. The change in the EU regulations cause us to lose the sales opportunities for 12 tons a year. There's a big volume for our startup, for our business. So I feel like what my team has devoted themselves, what we have tried to promote our product to EU market, everything just been home for 5 years. Not only me, I can feel that my team upset about the change in the regulation. But what I talk to them is, we try the best and we must accept that some challenge is beyond our control. We cannot control the wind. So we need to just understand and we move and even we feel like we failed, but at least we failed forward. We know that when we would like to enter into any market, we need to study and be prepared. That's why I mentioned earlier that we need to have plan B in any circumstance, because it could happen, and it might not be about the business, it would be your life. So just be prepared and understand that everything they have the learning curve, and we are just a part of any learning curve, and you can pass and go through this storm if you have your own second plan.
Let me start with challenges at work. When I moved to Thailand, I come from a country where the students are, how do I say? I was teaching postgraduates and graduate students, and they're very argumentative, they're very opinionated. When I came to Thailand, they were different. So to mold myself, it was a huge learning experience for me, which has benefited me, and I'm sure my students, so that was a huge cultural shift from students here. Like in India, students will ask you a question, not only to know the answer, but to also know if you know the answer. But in Thailand, I have to motivate them. I have to charge them. Come on, ask a question. What is your opinion? And they come along. So that's the huge cultural shift that I do it like every semester. That is what other than teaching the language, you don't teach language in a vacuum. You need to teach them in a context. So to build that context is something which is a challenge, and the triumph is when I accomplish that, or at least I think I've made all my effort to accomplish that. That is the challenge. When it comes to corporate training, I completely work on my terms. So even if I get something, and since that's not my anchoring is my university job, so I give more, I spend more time in that. So I do things, the challenges I face, like when I just did a program with DNA of leadership in New Delhi, where people from all big corporate houses were there, and I was training them on emotional intelligence and leadership and communication in leadership. It was challenging because I was, suddenly when you're training in Thailand and you suddenly move, though I'm an Indian, that the challenge is different, the dynamics are different. So these are you have to just change your mindset and you don't take anything for granted. I never take it for granted that, oh, I've done this successfully in Thailand, so I'm going to do it successfully in India, even if it is the same thing. And if I'm doing successfully in India and it's worked well, it will work successfully here. So that is something I don't do. Whether it's university, whether it's corporate training, I don't think anything I take it for granted. I work equally hard to be there and do what I have to do, even if it is the 10th time or the 15th time. So that, and We Women Network, it has just started, it is budding. And the challenge is to just, be and do what I am meaning to do. There are also women I come across where we get this flag, they assume that, oh, it's a We Women Network, and if it is a woman thing, these women must be, gathering together and bitching about men and saying it's a woman's world. Nothing like this happens. We are only growing and trying to do and learn from each other. And that's all that happens. So, they kind of keep that distance and they feel women don't need empowerment. They're already empowered. Exactly. We're not talking about it. They are empowered and we are just enjoying our power. And we are trying to make the world a better place. The more women will be empowered to be better for themselves, the world will be a better place. That is a fact. And a strong mother will nurse stronger children, stronger families. And once we are empowered, we will also go down the society and, lift more women up. So it is all about that. So sticking to this belief, to this value, this mission is a challenge, because even women don't understand this. So that's the challenge, and I'm so far facing it. And I said, I'm giving it my 100%. I don't know the future, but I will stick to what I feel and I believe in. And that's it.
I really don't like to go back to, the resilience things that happen. The most hit that most of the entrepreneurial people, especially in the food industry and tourism, hit is during the COVID time. But COVID is not the fact. It's not the factor that people will say, oh, I'm failed because of this. I think to have that situation, it teaches people how to be resilient about, coming back. But it's depend on if you want to coming back strong or you want to coming back fast. But for me, losing my cooking school was my dream of coming back to Thailand. And we also went to the top 4. Even though the market is very competitive, we did it. It's really hit me. But I also think we don't have to have business only in Bangkok, right? So to be resilient about that is to think about other options. Business is always just have options for you. What you have left, and then what you can build from that small leftover thing in your business, and then bring it back to what your passion is really driving you again. And then I just have, Pechabu again, it's like a food related again, tourism. Not in Bangkok, because Bangkok is spent so much money, but then you bring something out of Bangkok and then build your business there. So I think my positive thinking about what you have left in your life and your business, you have to convince yourself that you can make it. If you make it happen before, then you make it happen again. You never fail. That's all. Fail is good. That's how I be resilient about those.
I think that when I was the first year doing managing director job, now it becomes 4th year already, because the first 2 years I joined as the business consultant of the company. So it means that when you are the outsider, the pressure was not much, right? But once you are in the role, everyone have high expectation in you, and because it's like my first hand to be the top management, so sometimes I forget and then I try to do everything myself, because when you like doing commercial marketing or sales. It means that you always running for your target, right? Or try to get your objective done. But sometimes you don't really care much about the other functions. But once you are like in the top management, everyone is reporting to you. So not only the front row function, but also a lot of supporting or back support functions like HR, administrative, production, or safety, or sometimes like the CSR, environmental officer that who taking care of the community and makes our factory runs well. So everyone is very important. So you cannot ignore any role or any jigsaw of your organization. So I think that was my tough time during the first year, because sometimes I forget, and then if people cannot catch up on me, I try to do it myself. But then I realize when we get like feedback or when we do outing together, so I have to listen more and then sit back and relax and then let the others do. You just like guiding them, not doing it by yourself.
So I would say 2 turn points and 2 significant challenges in my career that I had to come with. So, you know how I went on and took a higher level, you know, coming back to my story, I moved in to look after the high net worth people. Initially, I struggled, but by then I was a pro, right? I was doing great. And, you know, and then the time came when they said, hey, we're going to close down the branch in Thailand. And the next step is for you to go to Hong Kong. For me, that was the first time to actually think to move out of my own country and comfort zone, my friends, leaving everything behind. I had been postponing that for some time, but it had come to the point that I had to make a decision, one of my challenges. So I said, can I do it? Can I not? I decided to go to Hong Kong and start my career. But guess what? Within 4 months of being there, the subprime market hit. The subprime crisis happened. And what happens at that time? The layoffs, right? Dispose the people who least impact the business. And who would be in the queue? The first one was just being there for 4 months, right? They get to go first, right? So that was one of my biggest challenge, because I'd always been one of the top people in the industry. And for something like that to hit was, you know, it was for me, was this a failure? How should I define this? You know, how am I overcoming this challenge? You know, and I took just one night. The next morning, I'd already knew what I was going to do. So what I did the best of the situation. So I decided the first half of the day, I was going to look for a new job. And the second half of the day, I was going to explore Hong Kong, because I never got that opportunity while I'm there, right? So I had a 2 months, I had a timeline that if I don't get a job, I'm moving back to my country, right? So as I said, you need to set boundaries and timelines and deadlines for yourself. You know where you're going, right? But you give it your best shot first. You don't give up. You continue, you find that. Unfortunately, because I couldn't speak Mandarin, and Hong Kong in the financial industry language, that was not something that I was going to pick up in a few months' time. So it didn't happen, but over that 3 months period, I made fantastic friends, my social circles. I got to know Hong Kong. I had a fantastic time because I never had that early, right? And then when I was ready to move back and start my career, and I actually got a job. So everything went as planned. Then 7 years ago, you know, people often ask me that, Remy, you had a successful career as a corporate. I was vice president. I was almost heading a department. I was going in the right way. What happened? Why did you leave everything behind and start your entrepreneurial journey? So imagine I've, you know, worked my way up the ladder, 20 years, I'm here. And then suddenly I move out and I'm ground zero again, right? So all my life, I've been backed up with big brand names, right? Citibank, HSBC, Standard Chartered. And then I move out, become an independent, and it's like, who's Remy? You know, you have no brand backing. So I think that was one of my biggest challenge, because moving from a 20 years of a successful a corporate career, now moving on to a solopreneur was the biggest challenge. And I didn't take it at a young age, Fleur, like you, right? I took it at a much more senior years, you know. But then I thought, why am I doing it? And there was a reason why I was doing it, right? Because I realized I wasn't getting time with my son. So what was my priority was family first. And that's the time I decided that I needed more time with my son. I needed to be there for him. I needed to attend his, you know, his school sessions, his parents teacher meeting. And that was the motivation. So 20 years in the career, I spent one night thinking about it. The next morning, the resignation letter was on the table. And it was a wow for everyone. Like, what hit you? Is something happened last night? Right. So that was a decision I made because I knew what was my why. You know, and I tell people, you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. Right. If anyone's read Simon Sinek's book, that is Know Your Why. Right. Everything will coming back. You will get that motivation. You will get that drive. So every time you feel that you're off track, you know, you're not going in the direction that you envisioned yourself, you just go back and ask yourself, what's your why? And it'll take you back. So for me, that was my why, right? And every now and then when I fumble and I tumble and I was like, oh, now I'm putting so much and I don't have time to go for my son's, you know, maybe his matches and all that. I was like, so what was my why? Why did I leave my career? What was that for? And I asked myself my question and I reset myself again. And then again, I start planning it in a better way, you know. So that's very important. What's your why? For me, it was my family, right?
Learning, you know, we'll never stop learning. Anything that you can learn more, just learn. No matter you feel like, oh, I'm 60, 70, and what I'm going to learn, I'm not 60 though. But I mean, when you're getting very old, people just feel, oh, what I'm going to learn. I have so much money already. I mean, my strategy is like, I just feel since like I was in Shanghai, you know, like I'm grow up as a Chinese, but I didn't really speak Chinese when I was a little and my childhood. But you know, learning is just something that I feel, oh, I'm in Shanghai, I'm in China, so people don't speak English here. If you wanted to be their boss, I mean, you have to learn too. It's not your boss and you don't learn. So when I think back about that situation, I mean, not situation, but environment, it's just like, I learned my Mandarin fast. Like, it doesn't have to be articulate, but it's just only easy to communicate with people. And that was the first time I just feel like my professional career is kind of get tough, that I could not communicate to my staff. But I was the associate publisher of our magazine in China. And then the whole team is like, when you have meeting and then it's in Chinese, there's no English, right? So that's what it just teach me that, you know, you never stop learning. You're learning the language. And then when you wanted to run the restaurant, you're learning about Thai cuisine because you wanted to run the Thai restaurant, to impress people, to get your business. And then, you know, like come back to the home community with Elisa KK, you also have to learn from this farmer. You're not, oh, I'm a city girl, so you know what you got? You know, like you have more than them. So, I mean, to respect people, to make, you know, so like equality of the people, respect them, and you believe that they also can teach you how to grow the plants and then make it like really edible and delicious. So I mean, all those things that I combine together, learn, you know, keep learning, and then, you know, respect people, and also, you know, make equality, to just have that in your team, and that will make you grow.
So for me, in tough times, to stay resilient, I actually tell myself, this very old cliche saying, and I'm not even kidding, I say this thing, that everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. And it really does work for me mentally. Again, I put things into perspective. I've got a nice home, I've got a supporting partner, I'm healthy, and I've gone through enough tough times professionally to know that things literally do work out in the end. So I always try to think back to these times where I was panicking, unhappy, unsatisfied, and I'm not right now. So things work out in the end. But obviously, bad times can wreak havoc on your self-esteem, on your self-belief. So I always try to reinforce myself and just remind myself of all of the things that I have achieved and of all of the things that I know that I can achieve if I start to feel a bit, I guess, a bit of self-doubt. Yeah.
One of the things that I have observed, and I share also with the team, is that you can't stop stress from happening. Basically, there are some good stress and there are some bad stress. Some good stress can actually make us a better version of us and be a good driver for us. And then there are bad stress that can kind of like knock us down emotionally and not make us feel so good about ourselves. And what I try to do is to process that, meaning like internally. Sometime I was saying this to a friend not that long ago. One of the things that I'm able to do fairly well is, kind of like go up 50 feet or 100 feet just to look down at the situation and see it from third-party point of views and detach from the situation. And if I have a hard time doing that because maybe the situation could be very personal, I have a talk with a friend. I feel it's really important to have a supportive network, and I feel very blessed to have a great group of friends. I've had hard times coming out of COVID. I think many of us did. And I think it's great to be surrounded by a good group of people who's got your back, who's there for you when you want to talk. I have different friends. Some are great sounding boards. Some are great at just being good at giving feedback. So you need different friends for different occasions, I think. And there's also, I have a friend who's good at kicking, the bum when I need it, because maybe I'm just, dragging my feet on certain subjects or something that I'm supposed to do. And I said I was going to do it and I hadn't done it yet. I think it gives you a sense of accountability. So in my self-care and resilience and overcoming challenges, so a supportive network, the ability to detach, using some holistic modalities. I do EFT, I do aromatherapy, things that help to calm the nervous system so that I think better and clearer and make better decisions for me and for others in my team or for my family. So I think this is really important that you cultivate some rituals that are helpful for you, because the daily grind can just kind of get you down, and you want to rise above that and be the best version of you.
In terms of what keeps me resilient, what keeps me moving forward. Being a solopreneur, and I'm sure many women listening today are on that journey. It can be very, very lonely. It can be, if you don't have a discipline, you can be off track very fast, right? Corporate job is you need to know, that you need to get to office by 8:39, your job ends by 5, 6, you have a stable income coming in. But as a solopreneur, that's not the case. You decide where you want to go. You have to decide what timings works for you, right? How are you going to make your work schedule? It could be late night, it could be early morning, But one thing that's kept me going in my life, and this is a famous quote from Junior Martin King, is if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl, right? But whatever you do, just keep moving forward. That's important, right? There are times that I become a rabbit, but there are times that I choose to be a turtle, right? And so I'm getting there, but I'm still moving step by step. I think as children, we've all heard the story of the rabbit and the turtle. And at the end, who won? Who won? It was a turtle, because the turtle kept moving. The turtle didn't stop, right? And that's why we see that. And I also compare that the longest living animal that I can see is turtle. They can live up to 100 over years, right? So if you want a sustainable long term, you cannot always keep pushing yourself. It's important for you to take intermittent breaks. And for me, what I do is, and I know what motivates me, is every 3 months, I need a break. I need to travel. It could be just for a few days. It could be for a few weeks. So like next week, I'm off on vacation for 2 weeks. Because, you know, so COVID time was the most frustrating time for me, because we really could not travel, right? And there was a lot of built up, but still you try to find other ways to compensate that. So, you know, I would say in both my work and my personal life, there has been 3 P's that has helped me across these 27 years of my career, you know. So the first P is patience, patience, and patience, right? And that's something I feel a lot of people, even the new generation, lack, you know, because we get everything so instant, right? The internet, if the internet is slow, we get frustrated. We get things so fast, we lose our patience. So sometimes you have to work hard. You don't see the results, they come later, but you have to be patient for that, right? Sometimes you don't even wait for that. You lose your patience and you've just lost out, right? And I see that a lot, because some people will just keep moving on jobs. It's 3 months, 4 months, I don't like it, they just jump on the next. And it happens, and it just keeps happening, right? Until it just spoils their whole resume. Because any potential employer looking at it, and I was one of the potential employer when I used to recruit my people, this person can't stay in a job for too long, maybe not suited for our organization, right? So you forego. I'm just giving an example. The next P is perseverance, right? And the third is persistence. If I was not persistent, I would not be here, because as a sales person, imagine how many times I've been rejected by my clients, but I keep going back, right? It pays to be persistent. You can't get it. Imagine a child, right? I want this. You say no. They come back again, maybe in a different manner. Okay, if I do this, can I get this? Right? They don't give up. They're silent for another 2 days. They will still come up with something to say that, okay, if I do well in this, will you give me this for my birthday? Right? They will come to a point where you finally have to say yes, right? And that's what life is all about, right? So patience, perseverance, and persistence. If you can stick to these 3 mottos, you know, you can do anything in life. But the point is, you don't have to take a big leap, you know. If you set your heart on something, don't be afraid to take the baby steps. That's very, very, very important. Just keep moving, you know, whether it's like a turtle, like a rabbit, like a centipede, whatever it is, just keep moving. Just get up in the morning and say, I'm there. I'm going to keep moving forward. You know, don't give up. That's very, very important, you know. So speak up, dress up, but never give up.
The advice that I would share with anyone here is, I used to heard one word, one thing, and I like it. I use it quite often. Is always remember, put the glass down. This was touched me that any problem or challenge that we hold them for a longer time, it would be heavier and heavier. So put them aside, and you need to understand that the challenge in your life, they have just only two. The first one you can solve. The second one you cannot solve. So if the challenge that you have now is the one that you cannot solve, so leave it. You don't need to hold them with you. But if you can solve it and you try it best, so accept that you did it best. You cannot carry all the things, and sometimes it would be better to let someone or something goes on their way. And if you decide what is yours, what is your to hold, you can manage your time, and you can use your valuable time for the thing that is really important to yourself. So if it is a time for you to choose what you would like to spend your valuable time, pick the right one that your instinct say, and keep the room for that important thing is my recommendation.
The advice I would be, don't make that setback the whole life. There is so much more to life. So if you, from grade 1 to grade 10, if you do badly in grade 7, you don't focus on just that. Your role is not just that. So I would advise everybody that don't make one setback the whole life. There is so much more to you. There's so much more to you as a child, as a parent, as a sister, as a friend. I have come across people, and especially in the corporate world, where they just crumble and they break. Take it head on, and this will pass. This is not going to be the rest of your life. And even suppose it doesn't pass, or it passes on slowly, you have the ability to work it out and make it, things better for yourself. Things will get better. It is always possible. So don't make those setbacks your life, because you're not going to gain anything from that.
I would love to share an example about failure and rejection. I think I want to share two. I think my first big rejection came back in my undergraduate. I was studying neuroscience, and I was researching in a lab, and I'd taken a break to build a program that was teaching students humanitarian skills. And I sort of had this moment where I balked, and I wanted to go back to the lab because I got scared. And my PI, the principal investigator, just told me, like, no, you're not allowed to come back. And it broke me at the time. Like, absolutely, I was devastated. I tried to get into another lab and everything, and that was such a kindness. That was such a kindness that he did for me. And I realize it now, because he was just saying, like, don't move back, keep moving forward. And that was really special. And I think about that now when I consider some of my mentees and my friends. It's like, you got to do the thing that scares you. And then the next one was when I was 22. I graduated in April, and I couldn't get a job. I was like, I had a really high GPA. It was like all the boards and this and that. I couldn't find work. And so ultimately, it's one of the ways I ended up in Thailand. And the experience that I ended up having by just, again, doing incremental things that I didn't think were the perfect career move, that was that marker of success that I wanted, that's what led me here. And I couldn't be more happy with where I was now. And that wouldn't have happened if I would have gotten that perfect cushy corporate job right out of undergrad. I would be so unhappy. So I think it's, sometimes those rejections, they hurt at the moment, but they're necessary, and you'll at some point look back and be like, that was good for me.
That when you have new ideas, right? for example, as our factory manufacturing, right? So before we never do trading. So when we have the innovation or customer inquiry, so now we kind of changing our business direction. So we not only a glass wool manufacturer, but we also like the center of insulation. So now we do start importing the products from Japan, from Vietnam, and from Spain as well. So now I think that we have more variety of product to offer to customer. So that's kind of a big change to the organization, because people used to focus only what they do, right? So when we expand more product, it means that we can get more new customer segments as well, because someone who didn't buy your product, but then you buy a substitute product, once we have it, then we can have like something to talk to them. And then I think it's challenging to drive growth, because as the managing director, I also have to like maintain our company and maintain our employees, right? And then to keep up with the production capacity, also need to find more customer or find more sales revenue to survive in the market. Yeah.